Good morning, everybody. Matte eldrigu namaskara. First of all, I feel very happy that I'm able to connect back to a lot of people from the industry. I have been with the corporate sector for about 27 years with various cross-section of industries, engineering industries, non-engineering industries, supply chain management, and you name it. I have worked with almost every sector I could think of. It was very nice to see a lot of people. Today I was able to meet everyone. I would just like to share a little bit of a piece of information which I feel could be useful to many of you entrepreneurs. My strength has always been in turning around an industry, a loss-making company, to make it into a profit-making company. My last assignment was a Denmark-based company where I was a managing director. I take a privilege in saying that in the first year when I took over the company, we increased the EBIT, that is the net profit, by 48% without a single increase in manpower. We reduced the overtime to zero. We brought down the inventory by 30% level, and the overall profitability of the company went up by 48%. Trust me, my friends, we didn't do any big miracle. It is not that we had a magic wand and said from tomorrow everything will become good. All that you had to do was a very systematic analysis of where are your leakages happening. I can probably use a little bit of Kannada also, I guess, right? ನಾನು ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಒಂದು ತೂತಾಗಿರೋ ಡಬ್ಬದಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆಯಿಂದ ನೀವು ನೀರು ಹಾಕ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದರೆ ವಾಟರ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವೆನ್ ದ ವಾಟರ್ ಡಸಂಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇ, ವಾಟರ್ ಸ್ಟೇಯಿಂಗ್, ಯು ಅಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ದಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಯುವರ್ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್. You keep on putting efforts, but you'll be wondering where is the money going because it doesn't stay. So what you do is you try to put more water. You put extra efforts, you work extra hours, you work on Sundays. Sometimes you sacrifice your family, your social life, your personal life because you want more water in the dabba. But you forget that as long as you don't plug those holes, how much ever efforts you keep putting, the leakages keep happening. So what you have to do in an organization first is that to look at where are these leakage points. As long as the leakage points have been taken care, a major part of the what we call as the low-hanging fruits are taken care. I'll just touch base on only one point because I know we have paucity of time. I don't want to hold you all for long. When I used to work for Myco Bosch, now called as Robert Bosch Company, I happened to go to a plant in Germany, a place called Stuttgart, where I had to do some official work. We were setting up a plant here back in Bangalore, and I had to do some studies there, understand the technology, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, leave the purpose behind. I found one very interesting thing when I went to Germany. Most of the workmen, including staff, I would say, in the organization, I was told that come Friday, they all start thinking about their vacation. Where should I go? What should I do with my weekend? Take your wife or your girlfriend or whoever it is and then go. 70 to 80% of the people working in the organization on a Friday after finishing the work don't go home. They take their car directly and then drive to some vacation spot. And they come back on Monday morning. So that's the kind of life they lead. And what was more interesting for me was that one of my German friends, incidentally, I didn't put that in my profile. I can read, write and speak German language also. So I had the privilege of talking to the Germans on the shop floor. On a Monday morning, not much work gets done. They are all busy with the hangover. What all I did during the weekend. So first half of Monday, hardly any work's done. By the time they pick up momentum, Monday is over. Friday goes because mind is already towards tomorrow. Effectively, I have seen that I'm talking in general with Europe and many other countries. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are the 3 days they work. Just 3 days effectively. Monday partial, Friday partial. And most of the manufacturing companies work 5-day week. Unlike India where we work 6 days, sometimes even 7 days. But Germany is considered as, in terms of productivity, far ahead of India. For that matter, many European countries, etc., they consider India to be an unproductive country when it comes to business or manufacturing or any services. But when I came back here, when I looked at it, looking at an average European or an American who works 5 days a week with about 7.5 hours a day, if you look at it, they put anywhere between 35 to 40 hours in a week. What about us? We Indians are one of the most hardworking people. Especially if you have set up your own business, working hours, you all agree, have no meaning. Is it right? You have no working hours. Why 8 hours? Some of us work 12 hours a day. Some of us I know. I was also a businessman. I had a private limited company about a few years back. Many of us go home only for sleeping. Because we put so much of efforts, but we Indians are not considered as productive. Indian companies are not considered as productive. Indian factories are not considered as productive as Europe or many of the other countries. My topic which I would like to talk about is basically this. One of the reasons why we struggle is that we are not concentrating on productivity. We have to become smart in our working, not just hardworking. He was mentioning about some time back about the systems and how we lose time. One critical thing I have noticed is that in Europe, I'll always take Europe as a reference base for the purpose of comparison. Let's say you go to a shop floor. I'll take a manufacturing company, for example. You can, collaborate the same thing to other sectors also. They spend on an average 70 to 75% on preparation and planning. Only 30% goes for execution. And trust me, my friends, we are exactly the opposite. We spend very little time on planning when we spend a lot of time on execution. If I take an example from shop floor, I used to work for Michael Bosch. Let's say a particular product has to be made on a machine. After the machine starts, the person realizes the drawing is not available. So someone will go to the engineering section, get the drawing, and in the drawing you find some data is missing. Okay, go and ask the designer. The designer will come. After the designer gives the clarification, you find that that particular tool is missing, something which you have to do. Or a tool or a fixture, after you find that, you find that it has to be calibrated. My friend understands that much better, the meaning of calibration. If it is not calibrated, it cannot be used. After everything is done, you have to tighten it. Some spanner is required. It is size number 20, but you have got only size number 14. Go to another department, borrow the size number 20 spanner and then do it. By the time you do all this, it is lunchtime or tea time. And then when you come back and then restart, the engineer has gone somewhere else. Finally, at the end of the day, you get the job done, which should have actually taken 30 minutes. Imagine for a moment, the same job has to be done in a way where before you start, put a checklist. Do I have A, B, C, D, E, F? Everything is done. Only then, like a railway signal, you get a green light, only then you go. Execution becomes very fast. I had in one of my earlier organizations a very expensive machine. It was about 5 crores. It was a CNC laser cutting machine. And people never used to understand the importance of a 5 crore machine and how expensive it is if it stops even for 1 hour. One day I called all the engineers like in this room and made them to calculate a 5 crore machine, take a depreciation, the value of depreciation in a year, convert that into number of days, convert that into number of hours. People were shocked when I said, by the time we all finish our coffee, we have lost 5,000 rupees. That was the expense involved. Just a 10 minutes cup of coffee, the machine didn't run. The company had lost 5,000 rupees if the machine doesn't get utilized. These are some of the examples I would like to say. We have lean manufacturing, and my friend mentioned about 5S. My suggestion to you is that I can talk about 5S to all of you sometime in a similar platform. Please use that. It can bring in enormous change in your business. You hardly need any big investment on this. Contrary to what people think, 5S doesn't call for big money. Lean manufacturing, which was another topic which we were talking about on, how you can get the most out of it with very little. Maximum from minimum, out of minimum. Like this, if these concepts can be utilized, business can become much better. Otherwise, what happens is that we keep on putting a lot of efforts and efforts and efforts, and we find that proportionate to our efforts, results will not come. I'll close my talk with one small story. I used to hear about a motivational story from a Japanese company. There was a boating race, just like we do it in Kerala. And in the boat, only 6 people were allowed, size of the boat. That was the limit. So there were several teams which were participating, including a Japanese company. And let's say, for argument's sake, we'll take one Indian company also, for comparison purpose, with due regards to India and Japan. So there were a combination where there were 3 rowing people. There was one cheerleader, there was one navigator, and one captain. This was the combination. There was one strategist in our game, then we'll be able to do better. But the limitation was only 6 people. So they decided that cheerleader cannot be removed, captain obviously cannot be removed, navigator cannot be removed. So they removed one rowing person and then put one strategist there. So it became 2 plus 4. Now look at the Japanese team here. They realized that this so-called navigator is, other than giving directions, is not doing anything. They said, why not the navigator also become a strategist? So they made a navigator into a strategist, and then the cheerleader who was there, they converted them into a rowing person also. So they became, instead of 3 plus 3, they became 4 plus 2. Again, you know the story. After our next race, the Indian team again sat through. They realized that there is something wrong with their timing. So they decided to have one timer. Then who will calculate what speed we have to go, etc. And needless to guess, they removed one more rowing person and they put one timer there. On the contrary, this other team here, they realized that the captain, other than leading the team, was doing nothing. They converted a captain into a timer also to double up. And then, like this, they started moving improvisations. So at the end of it, the other team lost, and they conducted one internal inquiry on why we are losing. Year after year, our team is losing. In business parlance, you can say, why year after year my company is not making profit? And they all came to a common conclusion that the only fellow who is rowing the boat is not efficient, so we should fire him. So this is typically what is happening in our industries. We are not concentrating on where are our losses which are need to be plugged and where productivity has to be done. Many of the foreigners with whom I meet, they say, you Indians are so intelligent. They have hats off, because I'm not exaggerating. I worked with Americans, I worked with Canadians, I worked with European, German, France, Japanese, you name it. Probably every possible nationality on this earth, I have worked with them. I have found Indians to be the most intelligent people. I think we deserve a round of applause for ourselves. Most intelligent people. You look at an operator on a shop floor, he is a multi-skilled man. It is like someone who plays cricket, hockey, football, volleyball, everything, and still be good. We are really, really multi-talented people.
No, he also operates WhatsApp also.
Also, there is one more additional talent. So what I meant is that we are so intelligent, we are considered to be so smart, but unfortunately, when it comes to delivering results, we have been very poor. So when I meet these foreigners, they say the same thing. You Indians are so intelligent, but why is your country like this? Why are your companies not as good as many of the multinational companies, etc.? This is just one of the points I wanted to share with you. There are quite a few. In fact, we can spend 2 to 3 hours trying to analyze how an industry could do better. As I said, due to paucity of time, we will not be able to do that. Please bear this in mind. In whichever business you are doing, just look at where are your profits getting lost. So instead of focusing on how to earn more, or instead of focusing on how to increase your profit, that's the biggest challenge today. Most of us operate on a model, cost plus profit is equal to selling price. Please stop this. This is absolute nonsense. Cost plus profit is not selling price. Selling price minus profit should be cost. You have to change this version. Customer is willing to pay, if I have to buy a pen, customer is willing to pay 5 rupees for this. And I want 1 rupee profit in this, I have to work backwards and say, how do I make a pen in 4 rupees? Instead, making this pen cost me 10 rupees, I want 2 rupees profit, so I will sell it at 12, then nobody will buy. So if you start working backwards, that I need certain amount of profit, this is what customer is willing to pay, this should be my cost. It will be a very difficult challenge, I agree. Then you start understanding how to make that end meet. Where do I cut down? What do I do? How do I do multi-skilling? How do I take care of my systems better? Most people suffer because of inefficiencies. Inefficiency of people, non-utilization of resources, and then some amount of, I would say, productivity-related issues like what I told. Take care of these things, and I have helped small, medium, and large companies in turning around, advising them on how the business can be made profitable. In case any of you feel my help is required, feel free to get in touch with me. Talking to me is as I told you, I can continue for another 1 hour on the same subject. Since we don't have time, I would like to leave it at this. Thank you for your patient hearing. Sure.